What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode. This is episode number 98, and we start today's episode off by ending the season. Yes, in the last episode, you would have seen us play our final Premier League game, and of course, we won the Premier League title, which was fantastic, as we managed to beat Southampton in that crazy final day. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see the title celebrations. I don't know why that is, but still very annoying that didn't happen. But still, winning the title was lovely. We completed a treble, and to end it, I did end the video before we ended the season, just in case I forgot something. And basically, we won Manager of the Year, and that was fantastic. So we start a new season in today's episode, and as you can see, the board have given us £15.5 million transfer budget and 80 grand on the wage budget. Now, the weird thing about that is that, you know, at the end of the season, when we finished the season in the last episode, you would have seen me adjusting the budget. I could have got like £25 million transfer budget if I put it all in the transfer budget. So I don't really know how they can justify only giving us £15.5 million. We won the Premier League last year, an incredible overachievement. We're in the Champions League this year. The aims for the board, they've said they want us to qualify for the Champions League again. They want us to reach the knockout stage in the Champions League, and they also want us to reach the semi-finals of a domestic cup, which is fine. But you know, it's like we had such a great season last year. You'd think that the board would wise up and say, okay, we want some progression here. We want to keep this going. We're making a lot of progression. We want to keep that going and do well in the Champions League. Try and retain the title again. And £15.5 million, it's not a lot of money. It's not terrible, but it's not really that much. And there's not really much you can do with that amount of money when you're trying to strengthen the first team, you know, not just the squad. Because we have a decent squad here, but we want to make the first team even stronger than it already is. But even so, we'll see what we can do. Obviously, the main aim for us this year, as you would have seen, the three players that came on pre-contracts in Sane, Salvio and Xhaka. All three of those look very, very decent indeed. The main aim for us this year is to try and do well in the Champions League, of course our debut season in Europe's top competition, but we also do want to go ahead and try and sign some players as well that are going to improve the first team, and namely a goalkeeper. Obviously the goalkeeper area was something I discussed all through the season. Ben Foster just made so many mistakes, and even though I made him club captain, I think it's best we look for a better goalkeeper. But I inquired about a lot of players that I've been thinking about signing, all of these English players that I'd love to get in my team, and this year's FIFA, like, the players are so overpriced, and in a way it's good because it's a bit more realistic now. Players do cost a lot more in today's market, especially the English players as well. They are now overpriced in real life, and that's good to see it in the game as well. But it's still really unrealistic when you see Luke Daniels, an obviously glitched player who, I know you guys are going to be commenting and saying, lol, you let that guy go for free and now you need to sign him back. It's like, you know, Luke Daniels is 81 overall. Okay, so he's going to be one of the best goalkeepers in this country, and he's playing for a championship side, Charlton Athletic, because of the ridiculous glitch scheme where, you know, he wasn't growing for us. Well, he was growing a little bit, but not massively at the club. We let him go to Charlton, nothing was happening, and then suddenly he's now an 81 rated player. He's just grown like 15 ratings in the space of a half a season, which is mental. And it's like, you know, Charlton, a championship club, first of all, they wouldn't have him, you know, that good of an ability, and second of all, they're not going to hold us to £32.5 million ransom. That's absolutely absurd. No club would ever do that. It's a championship club. When a championship club has a player that's clearly capable of playing the Premier League, you know, those players, you know, they go. You know, there's rarely any players that will stay in that championship division when they're more than cut out to play. You know, well, an 81 overall rated player, for example, would always go to the Premier League, and most Premier League clubs would ransack those championship clubs in order to get those players. No club in the championship would say, yeah, we're going to hold him against his will for £32.5 million. It's absurd. It really is. This game, there's so many transfer issues, and there's so many issues with career mode in general in this game. It's unbelievably annoying, but we're going to try and work through it and see what we can do, even with our pretty small budget. I'm still confident of making one or two good additions to the first team, and one could be Ravel Morrison, because West Ham United accepted a £10 million plus use of Malumbu bid for him. I can't actually remember what they wanted first off for Morrison. I think it was about 21 million. So £10 million plus Malumbu could be good. That's about his valuation, £11 million, 80 overall right now, 24 years old. Of course, Malumbu's contract's up at the end of the year, and I liked him in the first season, but he started to annoy me really with all of his constant chat about about wanting to leave the club and not playing games, even when he's clearly a first-team player. So Morrison's going to come in, and Morrison's a more creative player as well. Here at West Brom, we have quite a few good holding mids, and of course Xhaka as well looks like a pretty decent deep-lying playmaker, but no one who's really going to create through the middle of the park. So I think Morrison is a good signing for us, because as you can see, he's got some key stats there: ball control 81, dribbling 83, vision 92, attacking position 81. Those are going to help out when he's playing in a more advanced role through the middle of the park. So I might actually switch to a 4-4-2 diamond wide this year, have Henderson as a defensive midfielder and Morrison as an attacking midfielder. I think that's a good signing personally. Maybe a little bit of an overspend, but for me, I think it's okay. But we went back in for Joe Hart. We offered £5 million plus Ben Foster, and wait and see what they say. But as you'll see there, they didn't like the bid. And also, Victor Anichebe was wanted by Palace. And I said to Crystal Palace and Neil Warnock, give us £5.5 million and you can take him. As you can see, he's obviously our super sub. We do really like the guy, but he's 29 years old now. And he's someone who is on 45 grand a week. And personally speaking, we could probably do with the money just to help us sign one or two more players, as we still need to increase our budget. But Eintracht Frankfurt, the German side, came in for Vitinho, and our attacking midfielder, one of the very few players we do have is quite creative through the middle of the park, was wanted for £9 million. Now that's not too bad when you think that he's only worth 4.6, I think it is. We asked for £19 million though, because I didn't want to see him go, as Palace matched the counter offer they asked for Anichebe, and they said they give us 12.2 million, so I was like, oh, I don't know. I mean, I really like Vitinho, obviously 5-star skills, really fun player to use, very decent indeed. Plays a bit higher than a 76 overall, to be honest. Feels like a bit of a 78, 79 overall player, but they came back to us after we asked for another counter offer and basically just said flat out 12.2 million or nothing. So I said, okay, go ahead and take him. I do like him, and I'm sure he's still got some more potential to grow. But with Morrison now coming into the side, obviously Granit Xhaka came in on a pre-contract, he's not going to play many games. I mean, he didn't play many games last year, so now he's got even few games to come. So it's probably best to cash in on him, because that's a really decent deal, £12.2 million. Think about it, we only signed him for 1.6 million, I think it was. That's quite a decent profit, and there you go. But still, Anichebe has indeed gone to Selhurst Park. He's going to join up with Neil Warnock and play for Crystal Palace this season. I'm okay with that. I know he was our super sub, and he was really, really fun to have in the squad. It was just so fun. He always bring him off the bench, knowing he'd probably score a goal. But it's a decent bid, £5.5 million for a 29-year-old who, you know, quite frankly, isn't the best of players anyway. So he can go, and maybe we'll sign a backup striker. But as I've mentioned a few times before, no matter what striker I play in this West Bromwich Albion side, I always feel confident of scoring goals. I mean, Danny Ings is a 73 overall, but I'm still confident he could do the job if required. But Vitinho has indeed gone to Eintracht Frankfurt for £12.2 million. Again, a bit of a shame to see him go, because I did like the guy, but it's a good deal for us really, and it is going to help us sign a player that we need. Because of course, after signing Ravel Morrison, I realised we didn't really have much money to work with, and of course we were still looking to sign a new goalkeeper. So I guess it was best to sell him, to be honest. And as you can see here as well, the USA come to us and say, will you take our nation on again? Will you manage our nation again? And this time we said no. As you guys have seen me say over the past season, I wasn't really managing the USA anyway, and I only had them there so I could check the potential of some of their, check the overall of some of their players. Julian Green, Brooks, and also Yedlin being the really only three players I was looking at. But really, I didn't really see the point now. I don't think there's anyone else I'm too interested in, so we'll just reject that, and hopefully a bigger nation will come in for us soon. But Ben Foster looks like he's on his way to Sampdoria, so the captain is finally going to leave us. They put in a bid of £7 million for him. He's valued at £6.5 million, but being 34 years old and most likely going to start to decreasing stats in very soon, I just said, okay, take him. I probably could have got £1 or £2 million more, but I didn't want to risk it. I thought that probably might be the only bid we'd get for him, so just getting him out of the club and getting some money in was important to us, because it does mean we can now sign a new goalkeeper. So Foster goes for £7 million. It's a shame to see the club captain go, the guy I made club captain, but at the end of the day, his position was untenable really. He made way too many mistakes, and he almost cost us key games. I mean, that Chelsea game, for example, last season when he made a howler for Ramirez's goal, that could have cost us the title, you know, and quite frankly, we need a goalkeeper who isn't going to make those sort of mistakes. And we go back in for Luke Daniels as well. We'll see if Charlton will accept less than £32.5 million for a superb goalkeeper playing in the Championship. Who knows? But also as well, we're going for a couple of foreign goalkeepers too. Now I know I do want to try and sign more English players, because even though we do have quite a lot of English players in the reserves, there's only 3 in the first team. That's Morrison, Henderson and Kyle Walker, because obviously now Ben Foster's gone. So I do want to try and sign a couple more English players for the first 11, because that is who I am really. I'm really weird like that, as you guys know, but I always like to try and sign players that come from the same nation as the club. I think I've got a whole series about that sort of idea, so there you go. But still, Jan Sommer, Kevin Trapp and Bernd Leno, 3 goalkeepers currently playing in the Bundesliga, all very decent stats, but they all seem to be a bit too expensive. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But the last thing you'll see in today's episode is a pre-season friendly. We took on Milan, and we got our first win of the 3 pre-season friendlies too. We beat them by 2-1, and I guess that was something positive to end on, as we actually drew and lost the first 2 pre-season friendlies we had. But that is going to end the episode there. So as always, a big thank you for watching the video, guys. I really do hope you have enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed today's episode of Career Mode, then please do leave a like, because it is much appreciated, and of course it really does help my channel out. And I'll see you for the next episode of Career Mode, which will be episode number 99, just one off a special episode 100 very soon.